Sometimes it begins in the smallest moment. Someone asks you a gentle question. "Are you okay?" And something in your chest tightens before you can answer. You feel the truth rising, but right behind it comes an older, familiar instinct. You swallow the words. You say you're fine. You watch their eyes soften with concern, or drift away in confusion, and the conversation moves on as if nothing happened. And yet, inside, the moment doesn't pass. It lingers like a hand resting just a little too long on a bruise. Most people think silence is empty. But if you've lived inside this pattern long enough, you know that silence isn't empty at all. It is crowded. It carries memories, fears, rehearsed explanations, the hope of connection, and the dread of misunderstanding, all stacked quietly behind your ribs. It feels safer to hold everything inside than to risk watching someone misinterpret the parts of you that still feel fragile. Safer not to be seen than to be seen incorrectly. And the strange part is that this choice doesn't usually feel like a choice at all. It feels like something your emotional system decided a long time ago, long before you had a language for it. Eventually, the question appears, not the one people ask out loud, but the one that rises in the private space of your mind, the question this entire exploration circles around. Why do we choose to hide, even when we desperately want to be understood? When you sit with that question, you begin to feel the shape of your own silence. It shows up in familiar places. In the pause before you admit what bothered you. In the way you prepare explanations in your head but never say them aloud. In the conversations where you offer the safe version of your feelings, the polished version, the version that can't be used against you. Silence becomes a reflex, a shield you don't even remember raising. There's a moment many people know too well. You're standing in the kitchen with someone you care about. They say something small, something that touches a tender place you didn't expect. You want to explain why it hurt, not to accuse them, but simply to help them understand you better. But the words catch. Suddenly, your mind fills with imagined reactions, their confusion, their irritation, their dismissal. You picture the entire conversation unfolding, and you retreat before it even begins. What comes out of your mouth instead is a quiet, "It's nothing." In that moment, you're not trying to manipulate or withhold. You're trying to protect something delicate. You're trying to avoid repeating the old scenes that taught you staying quiet was the safest option. The psychological mechanism beneath this is often simple but deep-rooted: the fear of being evaluated. The fear of disappointing someone. The fear of revealing too much and being met with indifference or judgment. Silence becomes a strategy so practiced that it no longer feels like strategy. It feels like survival. Sometimes this pattern begins in childhood, not through big traumatic events but through subtler emotional climates. Maybe when you expressed sadness, someone teased you for being dramatic. Maybe when you were excited, someone told you to calm down. Maybe your family avoided difficult conversations, so your nervous system learned that speaking honestly leads to tension, while staying quiet maintains the peace. Over time, you started to believe your inner world was something other people couldn't, or wouldn't, handle. So as an adult, you enter relationships carrying this quiet rule: only show the parts of yourself that feel safe. Everything else you keep tucked behind the curtain of silence. You might feel this rule operating during ordinary moments, when someone interrupts you and you suddenly lose the will to continue. When you start to share a personal story and immediately downplay it. When someone asks what you need, and the real answer feels too heavy, so you offer a lighter version. These are not failures of communication. They are echoes of an older emotional blueprint. As we move deeper into this landscape, notice how silence often feels like control. When you keep things inside, you control how much others can affect you. You control the narrative, the vulnerability, the possible misunderstandings. But with that control comes a quiet loneliness, a distance that builds even in close relationships. You want people to see you, but you also fear what will happen if they do. This inner conflict creates a strange emotional double life. On the outside, you might seem calm, self-contained, even easygoing. But on the inside, you're constantly managing your own reactions, rehearsing unsaid sentences, analyzing the emotional weather of every interaction. Silence becomes the place where you negotiate with yourself, where you measure the risks of being honest. There is another moment many people will recognize. You're texting someone, and you type a long message explaining something real, a fear, a boundary, a need. It feels vulnerable but true. And then, right before pressing send, something shifts. A doubt creeps in. You delete the message entirely and replace it with a simple, "No worries." This tiny moment reflects the whole architecture of the pattern, the instinct to reveal, immediately followed by the instinct to protect. And underneath it all, a quiet belief forms: if I stay silent, I can't be misjudged. If I don't open up, no one can reject the deeper parts of me. But eventually, the emotional cost of silence becomes harder to ignore. You begin to feel how much energy it takes to hide. How many misunderstandings pile up. How often people assume you're distant, uninterested, or unaffected, when in reality you are simply afraid of losing control of how your truth will be received. And this brings us to the pivotal insight, the realization that shifts the entire internal landscape. Silence is not proof that you don't care. It is not indifference. It is not emotional laziness. Silence is protection. It is the strategy you learned when you had fewer tools, fewer choices, less safety. It is a shield, not a flaw. The moment you recognize this, something loosens inside. Not because the pattern disappears, but because you finally see it clearly. You understand that your quietness is not a character defect but a response to experiences that taught you vulnerability is dangerous. When you understand this, the shame that often accompanies silence begins to soften. You start to feel compassion for the version of yourself that learned to survive this way. From here, reflection becomes possible. You can notice the situations that trigger your withdrawal, the moments when your throat closes around your truth, the subtle ways you retreat even when you want connection. You can feel the tension between wanting to be known and wanting to stay safe. And in that awareness, a new space opens, not a command to speak, not pressure to change, but simply the recognition that your silence has been carrying a heavy load for a long time. There is no advice here, no instructions for how to reveal yourself or when to speak. Just a gentle truth: the parts of you that hide are not wrong. They are tired. They are overworked. They have been standing guard for years, believing they are protecting you from being hurt again. As we close, imagine stepping back from your own inner landscape, not abandoning it, but observing it with a softer gaze. Imagine treating your silence the way you would treat a frightened animal, not by forcing it into the open, but by understanding why it learned to hide in the first place. And maybe, in time, you begin to sense that being seen is not a threat but a slow, gradual possibility. What you choose to share, and when you choose to share it, is entirely your rhythm. Silence may still feel safer, and that's okay. But now you know why. And maybe knowing is the first quiet step toward a different kind of safety, one that doesn't require you to disappear to feel protected. And so we end here, gently, with the understanding that your silence has a story. And it has been trying to tell you something for a very long time.